Hello! Welcome! This is the second tutorial in my Christmas in July fairies special. I am gonna show you how to make these little tea light holders. And because it's Christmas themed, I'm using Christmas themed colors, but of course you can make them in any color you want. They don't have to be for the holidays. They can decorate your house all year long. These also make fun little presents for like secret Santas and you know, if you have a lot of time, they could actually be very nice little gifts for a wedding. So what do you need? I'm gonna put these aside. You need ribbon, 3mm I am using. This is actually the largest you can go. You need seed beads, 80, size 80. They have large holes, which make it easy if this is your first bead weaving project. You need some regular 0.25mm nylon cord, and you also need already to have a tea light handy. And as tools go, you need a lighter and scissors. So let's start. You take a piece of cord, of nylon cord, of thread. The length of the cord you need, well, I always take the width of my arms when they stretch out, so what fits between between the two hands when I stretch out my arms, just because anything longer than that is not comfortable to work with. Okie dokie. And then here's a little two tips. Pull a little bit on your cord so that you get the curl out of it, and cut your nylon at an angle so that you get a bit of a pointy tip, but it's straight. If you cut it at a 90-degree angles, you get a flat end and it's sticking out. Now with these beads there won't be any problem, but if you use smaller beads, you could have some problems going through your beads. So this is just a good habit when you work with nylon thread or cord. Always cut it slant in diagonally, so you have a slanted tip. Okay, then I'm gonna use two different colors, like with this one, but I'm also gonna make the middle one in this color just because it's easier to see on camera, but this will be my main color. Let's start. Before I start with my explanation, I would like to tell you that I have put a link in the description box of a video of a YouTuber who made a very comprehensible graphic chart, animated chart, where you can see very clearly how this technique works. If you have problems following what I'm saying, please don't hesitate to put this on pause, have a look at the other video, and I hope it will help you understand better. The technique that I'm using is called right angle weave, and basically it means that, like the name says, we work in right angles. We make squares and rectangles for this. This doesn't show very well. So we will make squares and rectangles. To start, pick up 3 beads of the main color. We don't need these yet. So pick up 3 of these. Hold your ends and let these just drop down. Then pick up one more, and go through the hole like this. You need to crisscross. I'm going to show you again, and I'm really emphasizing this because this is crucial. So you put your bead on your one end or your one thread. I know it's the same thread, it's the same cord, but I say one thread, the other thread. I actually mean one end, the other end. Okay, so you put the bead on one thread. With your other thread, you go into the hole in the opposite direction. You have to have both ends sticking out on each side of the bead. You can tell that the hole is positioned horizontally. Crucial. Do not, and I repeat, do not do this. Put the threads, the two ends in the same direction, like this. Do not do this, because this will not work. I cannot emphasize it enough. This is no. This is yes. Very important. And you can see this makes a cross. The other way, when it goes in the same direction, it doesn't cross like this. Okay, so take both of your ends together in one finger and pull while you hold this bead, or you can also slide down the bead like this. And this way, you make sure that both your threads have the same length. Your work here is in the middle of your thread, of your cord. You only have to do that this one time at the start, just to make sure that both are as long, both cord sides are the same length. Now you can see we made a square. We're gonna add a square on top of that square. This bead will be the first one of your square, of your new square. Okay, go back to grabbing your ends, and there's two ways of doing this. You can pick up your beads with your thread like this, but I don't find that easy. I just take the beads and hold them like this and thread them. Put one on your left thread and one on the right. You can let these go. Then you take another one, and we're gonna crisscross in this one. So, see, one and both sides of the bead. And now you can just pull each thread individually. And you're gonna see that we now have two squares sitting on top of each other. Just gonna push this one a little bit so it's clear. See? Two squares sitting on top of each other. And we're just gonna make one string of squares like this, stacking them on top of each other. These, the ones with the horizontal, where the hole is horizontal, I'm gonna refer to as crisscross beads. These, I'm gonna refer to as side beads for now. Okay, so go back to grabbing your ends of your nylon cord like this. And this is how I like to do it. I hold them in one hand and put one bead on each end, drop them, take one more, and crisscross. And pull. Again. one on each thread, drop, and crisscross. Again, one on each thread, let go, and crisscross. And now, as you can see, you're gonna stack the squares. I can strongly advise you to check regularly if you're still on the right path, if you still have 2 side beads, 1 crisscross bead, because it's very frustrating to be at the end of your next row and to notice that you forgot a bead, or if there's one too, would you put one too much. So check regularly. And believe me, even the most experienced beaders still make mistakes that they have to undo. And no matter how advanced you are, it's never fun to have to undo what you did. So now you're going to continue doing this, making these squares on top of squares by putting 1 bead on each thread and taking a 3rd one to crisscross and pull. Continue doing this until you have 29 squares. I'm gonna do this and I will see you when you have your 29 squares as well. I finished my row. You probably did too. Now we are gonna see if it fits. That's why you need your tea light handy. Now the beads as well as the tea light, they are pretty standard size, and in my case 29 is, well, 30 squares is my lucky number. So just hold it around, and if you can easily, without pulling, if you can easily close it like this, don't forget that we still have to add beads here, but if you can easily close it like this, it's good. If it's too long, remove one. If it's too short and it comes like here, make 1 more square. But if you're doing it on tea lights, normally 29 for the first row is good. So I made you make 29 squares, and now I'm gonna be mean. I'm gonna let you, or I'm gonna have you remove this crisscross bead, because we are gonna attach the second row to the first one, and to do that we have to make a 90-degree turn. Now to do that we are gonna cross into this bead instead of this crisscross bead. There we go. So you have to put this bead with this side bead on the same thread. There you go. And you have to crisscross in this bead. Again, make sure when you do this that you're crisscrossing and not going into the same direction, because that just does not work. See, and now when you tighten it, you can see that the threads are coming out of the side instead of going straight. On to row 2. Row 2 is different for 2 reasons. First of all, we're gonna work into the first row, and secondly, the middle row has 2 crisscross beads instead of one. We're making rectangles instead of squares. So, to start, again, we have to make a 90-degree turn because we have to go that way. So, instead of putting beads on each and crossing in one, because that means we would go straight, we have to turn. So we're going to do the crisscross bead, side bead, crisscross bead. Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. If this is hard to visualize or to understand, check out that link with the animated drawings of the right angle weave technique. So, like I said, 2 cross beads, crisscross beads, and I'm using another color just to make it clearer. So the crisscross beads, then the side beads all go on one thread. Go, because we need to end up going like this. So this is the crisscross, the side, and now we crisscross the 2 threads into 2 beads. That's 1, and that's 2, and crisscross. And there we go. And as you can see here, we have squares, and here we have a rectangle. Now I like to work going upwards, and I'm a righty, so I'm gonna flip this around. But again, you have to find the way that works for you. Okay, so now we pick up the side bead from the first row. So you go through that bead. On your other thread, for me that's the left one, you pick up a side bead and then crisscross in 2 beads. And tighten. Can you see it taking shape? Okay, up in the side bead of the first row, pick up a side bead on the left and crisscross in 2 beads. Here. Up the side bead of the first row, pick up a side bead and crisscross. Now if it's easier to do different colors of side beads and crisscross beads all the way, you can of course do that already in the first row as well. We're just going to continue along the first row, picking up the side bead on the first row, picking up a new side bead on the left thread and crisscrossing into 2 crisscross beads. Do this all the way along until the second to last bead, and I'll see you there. So now we reached the last square, and we're gonna have to do a 90-degree turn again. And I'm really hoping that by now you kind of see where I'm going. So we're gonna go through that side bead here, of course. And to make the 90-degree turn, we're gonna have to add the crisscross beads here and actually crisscross in the side bead. So I'm gonna pick up 2 of the light greens and 1 of the side beads in which we're gonna crisscross. And if, like me, you have been thinking about crisscross, the boy band crisscross all the time, well, I'm so sorry. So I can tell that this is just a little too loose, so I'm gonna just do it like this. Sorry, Santos is excited for some reason. Back to my beads. Okay, so now we have turned 90 degrees again, and to make the 3rd row we're gonna go the other way around. We have to do another 90-degree turn again. The 3rd row will be the same as the first one, so we don't need these anymore for now. But we're only gonna use these. So to make the turn, we need the beads here, a bead here, and a crisscross bead. And in this case, they're all the same, so we pick up 2. You can drop these and crisscross in a 3rd one. And gently pull. See, I can tell this is not gonna, And when we check, we can see that we have a square. Like I said, I don't like working downwards, I only like working upwards, so I'm just gonna flip this around. And the 3rd row really is the same as the 2nd row, except for that we're not gonna crisscross in 2 beads, but in 1 bead, and that I'm only using this color now. So pick up the side bead from the previous row, 1 new bead on the left side, and crisscross. Pick up the side bead, pick up a side bead on the left, and crisscross. And again, side bead from the previous row, side bead on the left, and crisscross. And yeah, just continue doing that until we reach the end of the row. And this time you can just go all the way to the end. See you there. When the last one is done, it's time to do a little check again and measure against the tea light, because you will see that it has shrunk a little bit. Now, this is okay. Now, if your gap is like this, you're gonna have to add a row. What you do then is make a 90-degree turn and continue that row in the same fashion. But this is gonna be okay. So now we're gonna close it, and to do that we're gonna add, oh, come on, we're just gonna add the side beads, or see these beads here. So one bead needs to be added, then you go through this crisscross bead on the other side, which is now a side bead because we turned our work 90 degrees, and we pick up a new of these beads. A crisscross bead that used to be a side bead is now a crisscross bead, and crisscross. And now you can see that we closed it by finishing this square. Go up these two, and you might have to nudge them a little bit because tangled up. Okay, you might have to nudge them a little bit so that they align better, to be able to get your cord or your threads through. There you go, that's one, and the other. And again, we're gonna crisscross in one of these. Crisscross and pull, and this is zipping up nicely, as you can tell. Up the side bead, same on the right side, and crisscross. And there you go. Don't pull too hard. It has to be flexible. And as you can tell, this closes up perfectly. So now, just gonna finish with the edge. We're gonna put one of these between in every gap. We're gonna put one of these. We don't need these beads anymore, only these. Now you can see that you have one thread on each side. We're gonna do half with one thread, the other half with the other thread. So this is fairly easy. Just pick up a bead and go through the next one. Pick up a bead and my aim was off, and you know, just pick up one, go through the next one, and that's how you fill up the gaps. It's just so much prettier when you fill up the gaps. Oops, I lost my bead. Okay, and continue all the way around. So like I said, one side with one thread, the other side with the other thread. I'm down to the last bead. Now you're not supposed to be crisscrossing in your last bead, but pick it up and go through the next one, and that's the one of the side beads that you're supposed to be crisscrossing in. Now don't pull this too tight, because you can pull it really tight and singe it a little bit, but that's not what it's supposed to be. So don't pull this too tight. Now we are gonna bring these two threads to the other side so we can finish that. And in order to do that, you know, it's a good thing to bend in all directions, because if you just keep it flat like this, chances are you're gonna have the hardest time to get into the holes. So what you do to make it easier is to bend and twist it a little bit so that you can reach your beads or the bead holes easily. So we're just gonna trace the path sideways, crisscross, sideways, crisscross. Don't just pull your thread through the crisscross beads, because you're gonna see it, and that's not very elegant. Now for these tea lights, it's really not the worst thing, but it's just a good habit to go back or to follow the thread path actually. See, it's just easier to... You will notice, if you're new at beading, you will notice that you're gonna have the hardest time to get your threads to go through more than one bead when you need to, but when you don't need to, it will go through the whole row. So it's easier to get the ones out of the way, the ones that you don't need to go into, get them out of the way, so that you don't have to start fidgeting to get your thread out. Okay, so here again we go up and we go sideways. And same on this side. And here we go. And again, we're gonna fill up the gaps. Same way. And don't do the last bead. I will tell you what to do with the last one when we get there. So you can string it, but don't, just don't go through anything. Just leave the last bead to do together. Okay, see you later. Okay, so we're at the last bead, and don't crisscross in this one. Again, we're gonna crisscross into the side bead. And we're even gonna go all the way around this square. See, it's gonna go in there. I don't want it to go in there. And that's why I like to hold it in a way that the bead that I have to go into sticks out a little bit. Here, see, the exit is blocked with this one, so just move it a little bit like this, and I'm there. Now I have one thread coming out of this bead and one out of this bead, and gonna make a knot, and it's easier if you put it down. Don't do a double knot yet, just make a single knot. Put the candle in. And only now finish your knot. Because I can guarantee you, if you do it without the tea light in, you're gonna pull too hard. Now here it's safe to pull. You can make it too tight. There you go. You can take this out again, and then now I have told you before about crochet or in other beading tutorials. I am a little bit paranoid about my knots coming undone, so I make a few of them. So now go through a few beads, and I don't know if this helps or not, but I like to go under another thread, and then again make a few double knot. Oops. Make a double knot again. Now when you make your knots, make sure that you that there's no beads in your knot. Okay. And I'm gonna repeat this one more time. And there you go. And again, I am going to make a knot. Okie dokie. And then I cut this. I leave about 1 or 2 millimeters, and with the lighter I'm gonna melt these ends, but make sure not to melt the knot, and I'm gonna hold the nylon like right between the yellow and the blue flame. You don't actually have to put it in the flame, just going near the flame. You can also use a drop of glue, but don't use super glue because that's gonna make your beads turn white. Okay, so we're almost done now. We don't need the beads anymore. We're done with the beads. And in fact, you could leave it this way. It's pretty as is. But I like the bow. It makes it cuter. This actually does remind me a little bit of crochet. It reminds me of granny squares. Okay, so a ribbon. Like I said, a 3 millimeter ribbon. And well, this would be possible, but it's really not gonna work to put the ribbon in like this. So you could use a darning needle, but I have an even better tip for you. Just grab a little bit of your nylon and make slip knot. Put the end of your ribbon in it and pull tight and make a knot. And this way you have your nylon thread as a guide or as a needle. I leave it on the I leave it just on the roll. So what we're gonna do now is under 1 over 2. Again, just fold it, bend it so that you can easily go through this, pull. Over 2, under 1. Make sure that your ribbon's not twisted. Over 2, under 1. And if it's twisted, just give it a little pull so that it straightens out. If this part is becoming too long, just pull it back a little bit. See, it's twisted. Pull until it's untwisted and just pull it back. And just go all the way around. And now, of course, this is made to fit a tea light, but you can use this as a napkin holder, or you can make it longer and put it around a larger candle, or around a jar, or around the neck of a bottle. You can just take this and run with it. Use your imagination, decorate the heck out of everything. There you go. Again, here, don't pull it too tight. Check that the ribbon isn't twisted anywhere. Put the tea light back in. There you go. And make a knot. Make sure that you leave enough ribbon to make your bow. Again, here, why do I put the tea light in? Well, just to make sure that I don't pull too hard, and that I don't make it smaller, and then you can't get the tea light in anymore. You can cut this off and make a beautiful little bow. This is fiddly work, I know, but it's so worth it. Okay, just trying to tighten it now. I always try to have my bow not stick out over the edge, just as a precaution so that it doesn't catch fire. If you should be, if you use these battery operated tea lights, then it doesn't matter, then you can go over. But with the real tea lights, I like it to just not go higher than the edge. There you go, that's symmetrical. If you want to make sure that this doesn't go undone, you can either put a little bit of glue on there, or give it a little stitch with sewing thread. Then cut this. And to make sure that this doesn't unravel, and this is only something you can do, of course, with synthetic ribbon, not with cotton. I just melt the ends so it doesn't unravel, and there you go. You have a very Christmas themey tea light. This is fun to make. It's a good way to learn how to use the right angle weave. What happened to my bow here? It's a good way to learn how to do the right angle weave. And like I said, this is Christmas. This just screams Christmas because, you know, Christmas in July fairies. But you don't have to make it in these colors. You can make it in any color you like. Just let your imagination guide you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that I got you interested in bead weaving, because there are going to be more projects to come. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like these candle holders, don't be shy to like and share this video. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below, or you can send me an email at cats.eyecatchers@gmail.com, where you can also send me pictures of your projects that you finished. I really love seeing what you guys make with my tutorials. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!